When the marketing teams of the main club manufacturers go into overdrive and spend a bunch of dollars advertising the latest driver in their range, it feels like just by buying one of these it will guarantee us all an extra 10 if not 20 yards of distance off the tee. After all, with all the top pros in the PGA Tour and other major tours hitting the ball such a long way and using that driver a lot of the time, it makes sense there for us to think that that is the real reason the pros hit the ball so much further than the rest of us regular amateur players. But is that the real reason? In this video, we examine what the experts, the stats, and the USGA's own driving distance report is saying about why the pros hit the ball so far, and explain why it's not the equipment, but it's actually the players themselves and the courses they play on that explain the distance gaps between pros and amateurs. Before we get to the reasons why the pros get so much distance, let's just quickly confirm how much further the best pros in the PGA and LPGA tours are hitting it than us average amateur players. And a look at data from Arcos, golf's first artificial intelligence platform, whose caddy product measured a total of close to 30 million shots played by amateurs in 2021, shows that the distance gap is a huge one. Compared to the average amateur, the average PGA Tour is driving the ball a massive 77.6 yards further, while on the LPGA Tour, the average women pros are gaining 38.7 yards on their amateur male friends. These are huge distances, and the golf's governing bodies, the USGA and R&A, have been worried about how far the pros hit the ball for a long time now. In fact, so worried are they about the huge distances the pros are getting, and with drives in particular, they have now commissioned an annual Distance Insights report to study the past, present and future impacts of hitting distance in golf. And these reports have identified three main reasons to explain these gaps. Number one, equipment. Number two, the player. And number three, the course. And now we're going to just go through each in turn to explain why it is the second of these two, the player and the course, that are making a much bigger difference than the equipment. Looking at equipment, yes, the pros certainly do have access to the very latest stuff. And yes, it is custom fitted to a highly detailed degree to their exact swing. But the truth of the matter is that all the main gains which have come from equipment since golf tech exploded in the early 90s have already been realized long before now. The oversized driver revolution began as far back in 1991 with the introduction of Callaway's Big Bertha driver, after which titanium drivers soon became widespread. Both these elements, facilitated by developments in manufacturing techniques, enabled the emergence of large hollow metal clubs, which significantly improved distance performance over the wooden persimmon clubs they replaced. Next, in the early 2000s, came the replacement of old golf balls with the multi-layer solid core golf balls that are universal today. And by spinning considerably less, this golf ball evolution was the next most important factor that increased driver shot distance, for the simple reason that decreases in spin can contribute directly to increases in distance. But the big increases in hitting distance which resulted for the pros from these key equipment design changes caused the USGA and R&A to introduce a series of rule changes in 2003 to limit a whole range of club features such as spring-like effect, length, size and volume. The effect of these rules in placing limits on technology and the subsequent small incremental developments which have occurred since have caused club makers today to say that they've pretty much exhausted the science when it comes to driver design. Tom Wishon, for example, an industry leader in the research of golf club design, says for substantial distance increases we're done in driver head design. There won't be any other new metal that will be discovered, any new kind of weighting or construction of the head that will increase the ball speed over the 1.5 smash factor that COR, the coefficient of restitution, controls and the rules. In terms of the drivers, the players can't hit it any further than they're hitting it right now because they're all locked on the limit. However, if we run through the comparison of average hitting distances on the PGA Tour and other major tours in the last decades, we can see that the driving distances are still going up. In recent times, no pro golfer has been linked more with golf distances debate than Bryson DeChambeau. After adding a reported 3 stone in weight, mostly in muscle mass, in time for the start of the 2020 season, his stock yardage have increased hugely, and at the 2020 Ryder Cup resulted in him crushing a 417-yard drive on the par 5 fifth hole, leaving him just 72 yards to the flag. In short, By focusing on his fitness and working on the speed of his swing and how hard he hits the ball, DeChambeau has been able to transform his game. And this graphic from Golf TV gives us a clear idea of just how much an impact this program has made on his stock yardages. And it is not just DeChambeau that is putting a huge amount of time into their strength and conditioning work, as we can see through these short clips of Scottie Scheffler, John Ram, and Sam Burns. And the simple reason the pros are now spending so much time working on their fitness and strength is because of the clear link which has now been established between swing speed, increases in swing speed, and increases in distance of how far the pros hit the ball in the modern game. We only need to look at the 2022 US Open winner Matt Fitzpatrick, who exemplified the modern pro's search for increased swing speed as he became one of the earliest adopters of the stack system, which provides dynamic programming directly from golf's leading biomechanist. Such have been the increases in distances that Fitzpatrick has shown that it caused Scottie Scheffler to say, "I don't know if you guys noticed, but I feel he has made some extreme improvements off the tee in a matter of months. I played with him in Austin this year and he was not hitting it nearly as far as he is now. I don't know what he was doing. Maybe he was in the Bryson program or something. He's hitting the ball really well and has been knocking the door for a long time. He definitely deserves this win." And we now know the answer in terms of Fitzpatrick's own quote, where in talking about the stack system, he says, "I've been doing that religiously week in and week out. It's like going to the gym basically. It's like a training program. I'll be honest, it's worked wonders. I feel like maybe 3 years ago, if I was in a position and I was playing with Will in the final group, I'd be concerned that I'm going to be 15, 20 yards behind him. And I felt comfortable all day that I was going to be past him, which to me gives me confidence. Obviously going into the next shot, knowing that you've got less club." And looking at some more stats from the golf data statistician, Lou Stagner, we can see how much swing speed has been going up over the years and how much of focus it is now for the top pros. But increased swing speed is not the only reason that the pros are hitting the ball so far. The increases in swing speed are clearly aligned to their skill. And the skill element is where they are able to translate as much of that increased swing speed as possible to ball speed. In terms of looking at what ball speed is created by the club speed and impact. Bad impact, such as shots hitting the toe or heel, will reduce the potential ball speed and therefore affect distance. Tom Stickney, a specialist in biomechanics for golf and a regular contributor to GolfWorks, has done some impact testing to highlight the skill difference between the top pros and regular amateurs. In these pictures, we can see a tour pro's striking pattern, what it looked like after about 10 shots, compared to the impact dispersion of after only 5 shots from the 15 handicap golfer he tested. As we can clearly see, the quality of the ball striking between the pro and the average 15 handicapper is enormous, and this skill element has a clear translation to distance. In fact, according to Stickney's testing, if the average amateur had the same ball striking ability as the average PGA Tour player, he would average 242 yards a drive instead of only the current average of 214 yards drive. So when it comes to the player element, both from a fitness perspective and from a skill perspective, we can see that this is a much bigger impact and explains more of the differences between regular amateurs and the top pros in terms of how far they hit the ball. Their fitness and strength work increases their swing speed, and through their skill and ball striking, they're able to translate that increased swing speed into ball speed, which makes such a massive difference in terms of how far they hit the ball compared to amateurs. The next reason to explain why pros hit the ball so much further than amateurs is the courses they play on, and this has a bigger impact than the equipment they use by comparison to regular amateur players. At the 4 majors on the PGA Tour and other tours throughout the world, the pros are not only playing in the most famous courses in the world, but also those courses in the best condition they can possibly be. In a recent interview for the Hack It Out podcast, for example, 6-time PGA Tour winner Mark Leishman stated that part of his strategy for the upcoming season was simply to try and hit more fairways because he believed he could gain up to 30 yards of distance due to the great condition of the fairways on the PGA Tour. I hit it far enough, he says. I feel like if I can just hit more fairways, that'll create more distance because the agronomy has gotten so good with golf courses now that I think that is a lot of the reason why the golf ball is going so far. If you do hit the fairway, it runs 30 yards. At Riviera Country Club, the Genesis Invitational last week, those fairways were quick. And not only that, you only need to look at TaylorMade's recent tweet about their stealth driver featuring Dustin Johnson to show what impact course conditions can have on distance. Already one of the longest hitters in the world, without any course assistance, DJ's drive ended up going a massive 422 yards after getting roughly 90 yards of run on that beautifully manicured fairway. So no matter what you read across YouTube and in various comments about how far various amateurs claim to hit the ball, the pros hit it miles further. And the real reason for this is not their equipment, it is their increased swing speed through their fitness and strength work, their skill, and to a degree, the courses they play on. And why are the pros so obsessed with distance? As we see from this graph, again taken from Lou Stagner, the simple answer is that the longer with the driver equals more money. It always has, and it always will. Let us know in the comments if you've got any questions on the data presented in this video or any other data sets that you'd like us to present in future videos, and thanks for watching.